Build Your Art Business Artist Spotlight presents realist watercolorist Patricia Roncone. Here are two pieces of Patricia Roncone's realist watercolor paintings. The one on the left-hand side is from her Voiceless collection, and the one on the right is from her Omechi collection. This is the art review I gave Patricia. Patricia's artwork is feminine, mesmerizing, and thought-provoking. Each of her introspective images is riddled with symbolism that engages viewers in search of inner peace and balance. When I look at Patricia's art, I'm captivated by her narrative brimming with emotions and meanings that compel me to connect with the intricacies of nature and human mind. Hey friends, I'm Ting Yuan from Build Your Art Business. I'm an art business coach helping artists build your dream art business with confidence so that artists like you can live a creative life with financial and time freedom. Today in the Build Your Art Business Artist Spotlight interview, I have Patricia Roncone, a realist watercolorist who explores subject matter inspired by nature, inspirational quotes, and personal experiences. Today, we will discuss what drives Patricia's passion to create and how she turns her talent into a business. Hi, Patricia. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ting?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm so excited to talk about your art. I love your thought-provoking artwork. It's amazing. And I know you have two lines, Omechi and Voiceless. So let's talk about that today, okay? All right, Patricia, please tell me where you're from and how does that affect your work?
Well, I'm originally from Sarnia, Ontario, but then I moved to Richmond Hill, Ontario to work. And how does it affect my work? Well, my hometown sits along the shores of one of the Great Lakes. And as a child, I used to visit the beaches there quite frequently, and I used to collect rocks and shells. And I continue to do so as an adult. I kind of continued that tradition. And now it's actually featured in my works. I just love rocks for their shape and the sparkles and the colors, and they're quite intriguing because when you're collecting rocks along the beach, you tend to have that calming experience, and you don't realize how much time has gone by. And that's kind of like when I paint; it's the same feeling. As I'm painting them.
That is so true. My husband is a rock collector and he loves it. It's almost, I'm looking at the water and he's looking down on the sand and looking for pebbles and rocks. That's lovely. I love the way that you describe it and how, it takes away, it's just so mesmerizing. And that, when you are consuming it, it takes away all the worries. And same with how you do your artwork. That's a great way to explain it. Okay, now growing up, who are your biggest artistic influences?
I would have to say Emily Carr for her landscapes, her eccentricities. Also, I grew up looking at Renaissance masters. I've actually seen them in person, not the artists themselves, but the artwork in Italy when I would visit many times. I would be in various churches, the Basilica, St. Peter's Basilica, and I would actually see those sculptures and paintings in the Sistine Chapel and throughout the church. I have actually seen Michelangelo's drawings, and and they were huge. They covered a great part of the wall, and I would sit there for half an hour just analyzing the entire thing. Artemisia Gentileschi is another inspiration of mine because she is one of the few women artists of that time to have her own art business. And then Caravaggio, which was an inspiration of hers as well. And also Salvador Dali and Magritte for their storytelling. I mean, Artemisia Gentileschi her pieces are dramatic and tell stories as well from the Bible. But
yes. And how about your parents? Were they artistically inclined? Is that how you got your artistic talent?
My mother's side has some relatives who were artists.
Okay. Yes, because you obviously have an interest in art ever since you were little.
I did.
Yes.
I did. I've always been drawing in the corner doing my doodles and then grabbing that piece of paper and crumpling it up and throwing it over my shoulder because I wasn't quite satisfied with what I drew, and I would keep going over and over and over again. And my mother would find balls of paper everywhere.
That's so cute. Now, how long have you been creating art? Since you're
I would have to
little.
say all my life, since I was little. I've in elementary school, they put me in a enrichment program for like a 2-week enrichment program for visual arts.
Okay.
I studied it in high school, and then I majored in it in university at York University.
That's amazing. And is that a 4 years program in university?
It was a 5-year. It was an
5 years.
honors, specialized honors program.
Wow. Now, in one sentence, how would you describe your work?
I would describe my work as introspective, thought-provoking, and steeped in symbolism.
Yes, they really are. They just, wow. When I saw your voiceless collection, I was really blown away. I really was. It was just, I knew there was just something really deep about it. And it's thought-provoking, like you said. And it makes me want to dive in deeper to understand every single thing about it, hence this interview. Now, what is your favorite medium?
Well, I enjoyed oils, to tell you the truth. However, my environment right now doesn't allow me to delve into oils, but I fall in love with watercolor.
And why can't you use oil at the moment?
Just in my space, it's very small space, and I don't feel that is quite safe to have oils in my...
Because of the odor.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's a little bit messy. And also, as a professional artist, it will take your paintings 8 months to completely cure and dry before you can actually sell them. So I guess
There's
as a
that
professional artist, it's easier to use either, not easier, but it is actually more business minded to use watercolor or acrylic, because then you don't have to wait for them to cure.
That's right.
Now, what inspires you to create?
Well, nature is a major inspiration of mine. Also, personal experiences, things that I experience every day, things that have happened in the past and present. I use a lot of natural elements in my paintings, so I look to nature as a reference. So I take lots of pictures. I enjoy forest bathing and hiking.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly taking pictures, stopping. Obviously, it's not for exercise purposes, because I'm stopping constantly, going, "Ooh, I like this," and like how the light hits the leaf in a certain way. And so for me, hiking is more of an exploration and to collect my references. I like stepping into the world of the forest because it seems magical and there's a lot of ideas.
And you also have mentioned, I've noticed on your website, you said that you're also inspired by life experiences. Can you explore a little bit about that?
It's just things that happen on a daily basis, situations in one's life, difficulties, challenges, celebrations as well. So I tell the story using symbolism. So the story behind my work is cloaked in the symbolism, but there's enough room for the viewer to use their own experiences.
Yes, have their own interpretation. Yes. And I find that, let's discuss your two genre. Okay. One is the omechi and one is the voiceless. Can you discuss the similarity as well as what differentiate them from each other?
Okay, so the voiceless collection actually started before the Ometi collection.
Okay.
And so the voiceless collection started about 2018, just a year before COVID. Me and a friend were working together to sort of develop a show, an art exhibit. But then COVID hit, and so I took those paintings and I put them in the back burner. But the other reason why I put them aside was I was just sort of new to watercolors. So I decided to do studies. And if you look at the Voiceless collection, you'll see that there's a rock in the throat and in the head. However, I didn't feel that they quite looked like rocks, like the way I rendered them. So I decided I'm going to pull back a little bit and I'm going to do studies of rocks. So I started to do single images of rocks. And I was honing my skills as a watercolorist. And then eventually, the rocks ended up being its own series, its own collection. And so I started to treat them like people. So instead of actually using, my own image, I decided to replace the human figure or portraits with the rocks. So the rocks actually stand in for people. And when my mother was looking at them, she goes, "Oh, they look like omete," which means little men or little people, little humans, right? So I decided to use that as a title. So the similarities is that they still talk about the challenges in life, the external forces that challenge one. And sometimes we crumble, and sometimes we stand strong. And the rocks, even though they're positioned in a way, in a haphazard way, they still cling to one another, and they are still stoic, and they're still strong and standing no matter what comes at them. And so that's the similarity between Voiceless and the rocks, is that they deal with external forces that challenge us on a daily basis.
Yes, that's really interesting. I've never heard of you, explaining it that way. So it's nice to know that you actually started the rocks when you did the human with the rock in the throat. Well, I'll have to share that piece of artwork, that's for sure. Now, what is the mission behind your art?
Well, I want my work to go beyond being a product that looks amazing over someone's couch. I want it to be a piece of artwork that encourages the viewer. I want there to be self-reflection when they look at it. I want there to be a spark of curiosity, like, why are those veins coming out of her mouth, and why are they wrapped around her neck, and why are those rocks in her throat and in her head and her cranium? I want it to spark conversation. And so I don't want it to be a passive thing in someone's home.
No. Right? And that's what I love about your art. It's not just something that's beautiful to put on the wall. It really does drive us humans to think more deeply and to spark up those conversations. Like, I think your art would be perfect for any rooms that it's a room for entertainment, for people to invite people to their house, because it will definitely spark inspirations as well as conversation naturally. So it's a great silence breaker. It really is. Now, what is your, can you please explain your creative process a bit for us?
Okay, my work is very meticulous. It's very highly detailed. So each piece takes a while to complete. But I usually begin with recording ideas into a sketchbook.
Okay.
Or as they pop into my head, these images, and I quickly record them into a sketchbook. It can be doodles, sketches, words, or a combination of images and words. I also collect quotes, which also inspire my work, or sometimes my work inspire quotations. It all depends. I also make it a habit of carrying a small sketchbook with me in my purse so I can jot down these ideas, because they come in, but they can easily fly out of my mind. So from there, the idea becomes a drawing. So I start with a thumbnail, then I graduate over to a larger piece, and then I start drawing it onto drawing paper, the size, the actual scale of the piece.
Okay.
Then I transfer, once I figure out the values and the composition and the symbolism, and I've worked everything out, then I transfer the image over to the aqua board or to the other, like watercolor paper, whichever I feel is appropriate for my piece. I typically work with arch paper,
Okay.
But I fall in love with aqua boards. A company called Ampersand makes them, and I just love, love, love it.
Can you
Um,
explain a little bit about aquaboards? I think a lot of watercolorists would love to know more about this medium to
it's a
support the
clay.
system.
Sorry, it's a clay surface, clay-like surface. It is rough, just like cold press watercolor, so it has a
Okay.
bit of tooth to it. You can put multiple layers of watercolor or pigment on it without having to worry that it buckles or tears. You can lift pigment right off of the board. You can wash your whole image off of it if you feel that the picture's not or the painting's not going where you want. So it's forgiving in that way. Um, but my most favorite part of this board is that I do not require plexiglass or glass when I'm framing it.
That's
It's
perfect.
So just like oil painters or acrylic painters, you have a fixative or some sealant that you would put on the surface, and then it's ready to hang.
Thank you,
So
Patricia. Now, what is your favorite part of being an artist?
my favorite part is sharing my work with others. Um, I love it when a person picks up my artwork and connects to it, and it makes them smile. I also do like it when it makes their faces go, what's going on here? Right? I enjoy watching those reactions too. I find the feedback is very valuable.
Hmm.
It tells me what people are enjoying and what is working and not working, or what people like and don't like. Not that I would stop making what I like, but it's just interesting to collect that information. And then people provide alternative interpretations. That's fun too. What is their story that they've attached to the
Hmm.
painting and what they got from the painting is also fun to listen to. So that interaction with the collector or with the viewer is always fun.
And what are the words they usually use when they're looking at your artwork?
Stunning, colorful, beautiful. I have one friend that is actually very afraid of the vines coming out of the mouth. That was fun. And other people would make comments about the vines coming out, and they're having a problems with veganism or something like that. Anyways, um, yeah. So, but mostly on the whole part, they find it amazing and impressive. And they also, with my work, they always ask me this one question: is that watercolor?
Mm. Is it because of the intensity of the color you use, or is it because of the aquaboard?
I think it's because of the intensity of color I use.
Yeah.
I don't apply the paint in the traditional way of
Hmm.
that one would. It's thicker. I think one of my goals when I left oil was to try to make watercolor as similar to oils as I could.
Oh, that's very
Right.
cool.
That was
Maybe.
just a little challenge and something fun for me to do. And everybody is constantly looking, going, is that watercolor? I can't believe that's watercolor.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't look like watercolor at all because most watercolors that we're used to is are like wishy-washy, right? Whereas
mhm.
yours is very intense and everything has its own space, and it does not look like watercolor. And it's absolutely stunning. I love watercolor, but yours do not look like watercolor. And I love the effect that you do with that, how you use the medium. It's very experienced. Like you're really good at mastering it and controlling it. So that's excellent. Now, what is the most challenging part of being a professional artist?
uh, the challenging is balancing the demands of my job and my art practice. The balancing that and honing my business skills, learning how to connect, continue to learn how to connect with viewers, um, and finding a rhythm and routine that works for me.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think that is a hard part. And also, I think the right and left brain is definitely always very
Mm-hmm.
challenging to divide those two sides of our brain. Sorry, I've got crows outside. Can you
It's
hear
okay.
them? Now, how did you find success as an artist?
Success for me is making connections and sharing my work with others and seeing that smile on their face when they look at my pieces. Success is, yes, enjoying watching my work going into other people's homes, the selling part, and hanging in a gallery or in homes. But I also feel successful when I've honed specific techniques. So if I set a goal for
Mm,
myself in terms of I want my work to look a specific way and I've attained that, then that's success for me as well.
great
Mm-hmm.
answer. Now, do you have a network of other artists or mentors, and how do they support you?
Well, for starters, I want to say I'm so very happy to be working with you, Ting.
Same
Um,
here.
and I really appreciate your encouragement and guidance. Um, and I also like to thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about my work and practice.
Right.
But with saying that, I'm also affiliated with another artist network. Uh, I'm currently working as I'm their member, but I'm also a navigator, which I am able to work with other artists, professional artists, and master artists. And I am a group facilitator, so I work kind of like the liaison in between the master artist and the group members. And the group is small. There's about 8 members, not including me. And the master and professional artists are there to, you know, level up their skills,
Mm,
technical skills, and to provide feedback and to help the artists find their own voice.
that's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm
So
sure you're a great navigator because you have so much experience. It'll be, it will be an honor to have you as a navigator in the group.
yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting different artists. We all have different opinions, and I like the fact that we're able to share and learn from one another. And as you know, painting in your studio, you're by yourself.
Yes.
So having this community is very helpful.
It is. It's very helpful to have other artists to talk about art because we love talking about art. And most people that are not doing art, they don't want to talk about art, right? So it's different because we have different challenges. And then, we have different things that really inspire us as artists, which maybe non artists are not in the same realm of mind. So it's nice to have a community of artists to communicate with.
Mhm.
Now, currently, where do you sell your work?
Well, currently I sell my work from my website. I would love to collaborate with a gallery
Hmm.
once my body of work is completed and ready to be represented. I did do a residency at a local gallery and I sold a piece. So that was fun.
Excellent. Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
They, the couple, they came and they looked and they picked up it was like a 5x7 uh, work. And it wasn't the stacked paintings. It was one of my pieces that I did on aquaboard. It's called the Rock Garden. And it's just because I collect all these rocks, I have a lot in my studio. So I put them on my table. I took pictures and I took pictures of various parts of it, various patches. So they looked at it and they just thought, wow, this is so beautiful. They
Mm.
saw the gem that I painted and it looked very glass-like. And so they were connecting to it because they knew that their sister-in-law, this person's sister-in-law, loves rocks. She like myself, she loves going to the beach. She likes collecting rocks. And so they thought it would be a perfect gift. And so they purchased it.
That's so
Um,
interesting because I do think that every time somebody purchases an artwork, it's because they relate to it. And your
mhm.
story just told me, it just confirmed it again. It's like because their sister-in-law loves collecting rocks, and
Mhm.
therefore that piece is for her. Oh, she's going to love that piece. I'm sure she's going to frame it and have it up on her wall immediately. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful that it went to a perfect home. Now, other than selling your art, do you have other revenue streams that you make money from your talent, with your talent?
I do have prints as right now.
Hmm.
I in the future I would like to offer workshops in person and
Yeah,
then
that's a good
maybe
idea.
further along perhaps have videos, online videos of my work that people could can download. So I'm thinking about how to get out there and expand.
Excellent. That's wonderful to have different goals, because it's very important for artist entrepreneur to always be challenging ourselves, or else the business not going to improve. That's the whole thing. We need to keep it
Exactly.
profitable and sustainable. Now, if you could exhibit your art in whichever art museum or gallery in the world, which would be your dream destination?
Oh, wow. I would love to participate in the Venice Biennale.
Okay.
Italy is like my ancestral home country, and its history is full of artistry, beautiful architecture, delicious food, fashion. So I'd love to be part of that vibe.
You will. You will. I'm sure you will one day, especially if you have that dream like right there stuck on your inspiration board. I'm sure it will happen. Now, sorry. And if you have had the opportunity to talk to one of your favorite artists, dead or alive, who would that person be?
I've mentioned her already as Artemisia Gentileschi for her powerful imagery and storytelling. She's, as I said before, one of the few, very few women, female Baroque painters to have her own studio practice and business. When learning about her life, she was a person who had to deal with trauma and other life challenges. So despite all of that, her tenacity and determination made her a formidable artist in her time. So I would have loved to be her apprentice and learn all her techniques.
Oh, that's cool. So would you ask her questions, or would you just want to be the observer there in her studio?
I think at first I would be in awe and just observe and watch her work. And then I'm sure the questions will come.
That's a very wise answer. And what are you currently working on and would like to share with your audience? Please tell us where people can find you and your art.
I am currently working on my voices collection. So I so far have 4 pieces. So I'm working on painting 5, 6, and 7. So usually I would just work at one painting at a time, but I decided to speed up the process and work on at least 3 more paintings simultaneously. So,
and how does that feel?
I actually enjoy that. I feel like I'm more productive that way. I feel like I'm getting something done. It can be a little daunting at times, but it's great to start one painting, work on it for a few days, put it aside, and then flip to another painting. Because then that way, when you go back to the first one, you can see it with fresh eyes.
Yes. I bet that's very interesting, because like you said, you're always looking at the artwork with fresh eyes. And then do you stop working on it at a certain time because you got bored of it and then skip to the next one? Or when you're, facing some challenges, you stop and then skip to the next one? How do you do this?
No, I schedule it. So like 3 days on one, then I flip to the other one. But sometimes I'm really enjoying that first piece, so maybe I might go a little bit longer and then I'll flip to the next one. But I make a conscious effort to change and to work on the other one.
Very cool. All right. So, and when your collection is finished, and how many pieces are you expecting from this collection?
I'm aiming for 15 in total.
Okay. And where would you like to exhibit this 15 pieces?
I may try it at first at the local local gallery, the local gallery that is here that I did my residency with. Then we'll see. I'm still researching galleries that, accept watercolors because as we were talking about before, a lot of them, prefer their acrylics and oils. So I'm on the search. I also would like to apply to societies, watercolor societies.
Yes, you should. Patricia, please let us know where people can see your work at the moment.
People can find my work on my website, which is my first and last name.com, patriciaroncone.com. And also they can find me in social media as well.
Okay. And what are your handles?
The Tranquil Artist.
The Tranquil Artist. Okay. So your handles for your social media is called The Tranquil Artist. And your website is www.patricia patriciaroncone.com. Thank you so much, Patricia Roncone, for this opportunity to learn more about you and your art. To view more of Patricia's work, please stay tuned for her website and social media links at the end of the video. Thank you for watching Build Your Art Business Artist Spotlight. This is Ting Yuen bidding you farewell. Well, thank you for watching Build Your Art Business Artist Spotlight. I especially want to thank Patricia Roncone for joining me today to share her artwork and philosophy with us. To view more of Patricia's work, be sure to check out her website and social media links. The links are also on the description post of the video.